So here we are again to discuss the last topic. That's the history of classification and modern classification. Explain how taxonomists. So we need to know like who are the taxonomists first of all. So taxonomists are the scientists who deal with naming and classification of organisms. So naming plus classification of the organisms. This is basically done based on similarities. Always remember, classification is starting with the similarities and differences. But when they started to do this one, they used different categories, and those different categories were like eight. So they start with domain, then kingdom, then phylum, then class, order, family, genus, and species. So these are the eight. It's a very famous sentence. Dr. King, dear King Philip, came over for good soup. But you can have another sentence that you can remember. So also include the definition of the taxon. We will of course include the definition of the taxon. We will discuss that as well. Now we will go to the table below, and this table talks about the hierarchy of classification, or these eight levels of the classification that we have to see. So first of all, we need to know there is the table that shows the classification of the species. That's a firefly. Complete the table by filling the empty cells in the classification of the taxon. So there are eight taxons that we written up. Eukarya, the first one, the first taxon, of course, it's D for domain, K for kingdom, P for phylum, C for class, O for order, F for family, G for genus, and S for species. And species is the basic unit of classification. Similar species or related species join together and they are put into genus, while the genus level, similar organisms in as genus, they are put together into family, and related families, they are grouped together as order. The related orders or similar orders grouped as a class, then phylum, then kingdom, and they make a domain. Now here is one more empty space that you have to fill out, like the genus name. So to understand how the genus name and the species name work, you can figure it out here. There is a scientific name given for the organism, and we have specific rules to figure out these names, and that rule I will tell you now. Before that, define the term taxon. So we need to define the term taxon, which is a named group of an organism, like whatever group is named. So like if it is a species, if it is a genus, it is a family, order, or whatever. Now we move to this name. You see that this name has two parts. The first part starts with a capital letter, remaining all parts are the small. So part number one, this is a genus name, and part number two, this is a species name. So species name is already written down. We need to write the genus name. Just copy it down. Phosphanus. Okay, and that's it. This answer is done. We are done with this answer. We will go down now to the next question. Define family, genus, species, and in the taxonomy, I tried to define up which of the following correctly defines genus. A group of different organisms living in the same area? No. A group of plants and animals? No. A group of species? I told you, group of species. I put the arrow to show you species are grouped together into genus that are closely related and share a common ancestor. Yes. An individual or organism within a single species? No. Which of the following correctly define family? The same way, similar families are, you can either define it as similar genus, they make family, or related families, they make order, whatever you want. Which of the following correctly defines a family? A group of plants and animals? No. A group of related genera? Okay, so as I told you from the table, yes. Group of species that live in the same area, and group of related phyla. Who is group of related phyla, by the way? So related phyla, they will make kingdom. Okay, so this is kingdom, this will make kingdom. Maybe they ask you which of the following correctly defines kingdom, so then the answer will go to D. Apply the binomial nomenclature rules. So here we need to know the rules. That's the most important thing. So there are three basic rules that you need to learn. If you learn those rules, it's not hard. It's very easy. Number one, rule number one. Binomial, bi mean two, nomial mean names, and nomenclature is a system. So it's a two name system. Okay. So first of all, we will say that each organism has name with two parts, okay, and the first part is genus and the second part is species. Always number two, both the parts only first letter is capital. Only first letter in the whole name, only first letter in the name is capital in both parts, okay. And the last thing that you need to notice, underlined it's either underlined or italicized. So it's either italic or in underline. Okay, apply the rules. Rule number one, each organism has two names. All the options have two names. Only first letter is capital. Okay, only first letter is capital. Yes. First letter capital, no. First letter capital, no. First letter capital, yes. Okay, so rule number two, now we have two names, A and D. So last rule, either underlined or italic. None of them is underlined, but this one is italic. So you see it's a little bit tilted. You can see it's a little bit tilted. You can see the difference between A and D. That's the answer. Differentiate between the concept of the typological species, biological species, and phylogenetic species. You need to learn again the keywords over here. If you learn the keywords, it will be very easy for you to answer this table. So typological species, description, limitations, and benefits. So description, typological is basically characterized by physical characters. Okay, so we will say it's the classification, of species by comparison of physical characters. And what is the limitation for this one? The limitation I will put in red. What's the limitation? Physical characters are too many, right? We have so many physical characters that we need to see. So these physical characters are a lot. So there is a variety of characters. And what is the benefit for this one? The benefit is like it tells you about the details. So it provides details of all characters. So you can have a detail of all characters for all the organisms. Going back again to biological species now. So species with similar characters. So species, but the most important over here, species with similar characters. But over here, the most important is that they reproduce, and above that, they produce fertile offsprings. Now, the problem with this, like the limitation, is that some species who are not related, can also reproduce, right? So this is a limitation. But what's the benefit? The benefit is like it is the most suitable type that can be used now. The last one, phylogenetic. We know the meaning of the phylogenetic. It's based on the common ancestors. So this is classification of species based on common ancestors or evolutionary history. But what's the drawback? We don't know the history of all the organisms, right? We don't know the history of all organisms, and it's not possible to keep the records of all organisms. And what's the benefit? The benefit is that you can compare you can compare the organisms you can compare the organisms based on molecular data. So you can get the ancestral data and you can compare them based on their DNA and RNA things. Compare and contrast the ancestral and derived characters. If you go back, we have discussed about what are the ancestral characters and what are the derived characters. So ancestral characters are the ones which are common between different species, while derived are very unique to an organism. For example, look, they are comparing mammal and bird together. This is present, so this is going to be an ancestral character. Present, this is again going to be an ancestral character, while the feathers are only present in the bird, so feather is a derived character of bird. Okay, while the teeth is the derived character of the mammal. So this is how you figure it out. So backbone and the four chambered heart is the answer. Next one, explain what a cladogram and how it is built. So it means that very important, you need to make it. Cladogram is basically a diagram. Okay, it's a diagram that you need to build that shows relationships relationships between relationship between organisms. So based on ancestral characters and derived characters, it shows how they are related. And second thing, you need to analyze. So these are the most important things. You need to know how it is built, and how you need to analyze to show the evolutionary relationship among the organisms. You will always have such table. This is the simplest table with yes and no. The most important thing note is species and characters, and these characters are normally derived characters which are very unique to all, but one of the character will be there that will be common, that will be present in all. So wallaby, lizard, salamander, trout and lamprey are the organisms, and mammary gland, amniotic species, or eggs, four limbs, backbone and notochord are the the characters. Create a cladogram, five species shown in the table. Now, very important thing over here, that you need to create a cladogram. The best rule to create a cladogram is number one, diagonal line. Okay, so I will put the rules over here. Number one, rule rule number one, draw a diagonal line. Rule number two, uh, add hash mark which will be like this. Add hash mark on the diagonal line for each character. Number three, which is the last rule, after each hash mark, extend a line to write organism. Okay, so you need to write the name of the organism, so make sure you do it. Okay, so these are the three rules, make sure you follow them. Rule number one, we will go with the rule number one. So rule number one is to draw a diagonal line. Okay, we are done with the diagonal line. Sometimes they give this diagonal line to you, so it's okay, you can just use that. But if the diagonal line is not given, you make sure that you draw a diagonal line. Rule number two, add hash mark for every character. So we have many characters, mammary gland. First character should be the one that's present in all. So you can see over here in the noto card that it is yes, 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 yes. So I'm going to draw a hash mark and I will write here next to the hash mark noto card. And after noto card, I will put the name of the animal which does not have any other character. So for example, I need to see backbone, no, forelimbs, no, amniotic egg, no, and mammary glands, no. So I'm going to extend one line here like this, and I'm going to put the name lamprey. because lamprey has only notocard while it doesn't have anything else. So who comes after lamprey? So you see, like now we have one no, but there are four yes. So we will make another hash mark and we will write here backbone. And after backbone, after every hash mark, you extend one line. So you are going to extend one line and you will put the name trout, because trout has backbone, but it doesn't have all the remaining. So we are going to write here trout. Then again, same thing, repeat hash mark, and the next character that you see over here, yes, that is the four limbs, four limbs, and then you will extend one line. Who has four limbs? It's the salamander. So we will put salamander. Then we again mark a hash mark and we go with the yes from here, that is amniotic egg. Extend the line and put the name of the organism who has amniotic egg. It's the lizard. And the last hash mark, of course, you are going to do over here mammary glands. And now no need to extend the line, because the line is the last animal that we need to write. You can write always at the tip of this, so that is wallaby. Now, how to read this to make sure that you have done it correct? Lamprey has only notocard, nothing else. So you go for the lamprey. No, 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 only has notocard. Trout has the backbone only. So along with the notocard. So you read it backward. So notocard and backbone are present in the trout. Notocard, backbone, and forelimbs are present in the salamander. Notocard, notocard, backbone, forelimbs, and amniotic eggs are present in the lizard, while lizard doesn't have the mammary glands. The mammary glands are only present in the wallaby, while the wallaby has all the characters down. So you should know that the wallaby, you read it backward. So always you read it backward. So wallaby has mammary gland, amniotic eggs, forelimbs, and that. Okay. Identify two species that share the most common ancestor. The most common ancestor mean the most recent. Two species, so it means the two species which are on the top. Who are on the top? You can write them. Most common ancestor is the lizard and the lizards and the wallaby. Identify the species that has only notocard. Only notocard. So notocard is only present in the lamprey, because look over here in this area. I will tell you. Look, after lamprey, margin is done over here. So this is the zone of the lamprey. Lamprey has only notocard. Okay. Now the second zone, if you want to make another zone, so this zone is for the trout. Oh, sorry, I included the four limbs. So this zone is for the throat before the forelimbs. Okay, then so on, so on, so on. So who has only notocard? Of course, it's the lamprey. Identify the two species that have the backbone but not do not lay amniotic egg. So before amniotic egg, okay? So this is amniotic egg. Any before the amniotic egg, we need to say two species that have the backbone. And backbone started from here. Backbone started from here. So after backbone, you before amniotic egg. So before from this part and after this part. Okay, so in between this area. Who are the two? They are trout and salamander. Okay, so we will write down here trout and salamander. So that's all. Wish you all the best for your exam. I hope it will be good for you and you will do a better exam. Thank you. Wish you all the best.